We have noticed a particular interest from your part for the following topics published on armyrecognition.com these last days. First, GM Defence has delivered its first Infantry Squad Vehicle to the U.S. Army. Then the Turkish-made Otokar Kaya-2 MRAP vehicle could replace Condor APCs of the Malaysian contingent of the United Nations in Lebanon. 3. Patria has concluded an agreement with the U.S. Army to conduct tests with the Patria NEMO 120mm mortar. And last, the Lithuanian Army has received its 142 last ex-German Army Unimog U5000 tactical trucks. On the 27th of October, GM Defence, a subsidiary of General Motors, was celebrating the first delivery of the Infantry Squad Vehicle to the U.S. Army as part of the $214.3 million contract. The ISV is a light all-terrain troop carrier intended to transport a 9-soldier infantry squad and their equipment. GM Defence will manufacture 349 ISVs and will support the production of up to 2,065 vehicles with additional authorization over 8 years. The ISV is based on the award-winning 2020 Chevrolet Colorado ZR2 mid-size truck architecture and leverages 90% proven commercial off-the-shelf parts, including Chevrolet Performance race components. The 5,000-pound ISV was uniquely engineered to fulfill military requirements and designed to provide rapid ground mobility. The expeditionary ISV is light enough to be sling-loaded from a UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter and compact enough to fit inside a CH-47 Chinook helicopter for air transportability. The parts, combined with the ISV's innovative rollover protection system, will provide agile transportability on the battlefield to support mission forces. The Malaysian peacekeeping contingent deployed as a member of the United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon, or UNIFIL, has requested new 4x4 armored personnel carriers to replace its old 4x4 Condors. The Condor have been deployed in Lebanon since 2006 with the first peacekeeping contingent of the Malaysian Army. The Condor is a 4x4 armored personnel carrier originally designed by the German company Thyssen and manufactured by Wehrtechnik. The first prototype was completed in 1978. According to the Military Balance 2020, the Malaysian Army has a total of 300 Condors in different variants. According to the Malaysia Flying Herald, one of the candidates to replace the Condor is the Kaya-2 4x4 MRAP vehicle developed and manufactured by the Turkish company Otokar. The Kaya-2's design is based on the Unimog 5000 chassis, offering a high level of cross-country mobility and for which spare parts are available worldwide through a well-established dealer network. According to a press release published on the 22nd of October, the Finnish company Patria has concluded an agreement with the U.S. Army to conduct a turreted mortar feasibility study. This agreement is a continuation of U.S. Army's effort to provide armored and striker brigade combat teams with rapid, precise, indirect and direct fire capability, where the operating crew is well protected and their physical burden is significantly reduced. In 2019 and 2020, the Army published market surveys to identify capable sources to develop and produce the 120mm modular turret mortar system. Patria answered the market survey based on its Patria NEMO mortar system. Patria NEMO is the world's foremost turreted mortar system. It's a remote-controlled 120mm mortar system capable of both direct and indirect fire missions, including on the move. NEMO can execute multiple round simultaneous impact fire missions with up to 6 rounds hitting the target at the same time. The Lithuanian Ministry of Defence announced on the 31st of October that it had received 142 Unimog U5000 trucks. This was the last batch of the 340 units to be received in total. These Unimogs were purchased under a €70 million contract signed in 2015. The contract between the Lithuanian Armed Forces and Daimler foresees logistical support in the first 15 years of operation, specialized tools, testing equipment, and other guarantees. Lithuania acquired the trucks through the NATO Support and Procurement Agency, the NSPA, which helped it save €18 million. The NATO agency can amass the requests from across NATO and carry out a large-scale acquisition. As a result, the price per unit was considerably lowered. Well, what did you prefer to read on NavyRecognition.com? Here are the three main topics we have retained. India will start basin trials with its local-made INS Vikrant aircraft carrier. The U.S. Navy tested the use of a quadcopter drone to deliver a payload to a submarine. And Australia and the United Kingdom signed a Memorandum of Understanding to cooperate on building and delivering the next generation of cutting-edge frigates. India will start basin trials with its local-made INS Vikrant aircraft carrier, also named IAC-1 indigenous aircraft carrier, including tests of propulsion and electric systems. The design of the new Indian aircraft carrier was started in 1999 and the keel was laid in February 2009. India opted for a three-carrier fleet consisting of one carrier battle group stationed on each seaboard and a third carrier held in reserve in order to continuously protect both its flanks, to protect economic interests and mercantile traffic, and to provide humanitarian platforms in times of disasters, since a carrier can provide a self-generating supply of fresh water, medical assistance or engineering expertise to populations in need for assistance. The INS Vikrant aircraft carrier will be able to operate 36 to 40 aircraft, including 26 Russian-made MiG-29K, a Russian-made supersonic carrier-based fighter. The MiG-29K is dramatically modified from the Mikoyan MiG-29M for naval operations. The U.S. Navy has used a quadcopter UAV to deliver a payload to the Ohio-class ballistic missile submarine USS Henry M. Jackson, DSSBN 730, around the Hawaiian Islands. The goal was to evaluate the delivery of payloads using a naval helicopter, a drone, or an MV-22 Osprey tilt-rotor aircraft. The concept came from the Commander Submarine Force Innovation Lab 1 year ago. Since then, this iLab, in partnership with the University of Hawaii Applied Research Lab, has worked on developing the means to make this type of delivery operationally possible. This idea led to the creation of the Submarines Force First UAV Squadron at CSP. Submarine sailors stationed at Pearl Harbor volunteered to attend weekly training at Bellows Air Force Station in Hawaii to become proficient drone pilots and to develop the concept of converting a UAV and a submarine sail into a package delivery and receiving platform. Australia and the United Kingdom have further strengthened their enduring defence relationship by signing a Memorandum of Understanding to cooperate on building and delivering the next generation of cutting-edge frigates. A key aspect of the MOU is a pledge for information exchange to ensure shipbuilding best practice is shared and both frigate programs deliver wood-beating maritime capabilities to the Royal Navy and the Royal Australian Navy. The agreement also sets out a framework to enable both nations to utilize the Type 26 and Hunter programs to create jobs and contribute to the growth of the UK and Australian economies seeking to support small and medium-sized enterprises. The Hunter-class frigate is a future class of frigates for the Royal Australian Navy to replace the Anzac class. In June 2018, the BAE Systems Type 26 was selected as the winner to build the new frigates for the Australian Navy. Modified to meet Australian requirements, the Hunter-class frigate will be constructed on an acoustically quiet hull and feature unique sonar capabilities, modular digital design, and open systems architecture to facilitate through live support and upgrades as new technology develops. Here are the three news you have preferred on our air recognition website. First, Greece will take over the F-35A Lightning IIs initially intended for Turkey. Then CH-47 Chinook crews of the Singapore Air Force qualified for deck landing on Australian vessels, and Kongsberg Defence will purchase electronic components from Australia for its Joint Strike Missile. Greek Prime Minister Mitsotakis said on the 27th of October that Greece will take different measures regarding the defence of its national territory, airspace and territorial waters. During U.S. State Secretary Mike Pompeo's recent visit in Greece, the supply of 20 F-35A Lightning II fighters was put on the agenda, 6 of which will be purchased on smart loan and together with the first 6 Rafale fighters. These F-35As were initially intended for the Turkish Air Force, a program the US scrapped following the purchase of Russian-made S-400 Triumph air defense systems by Turkey. Moreover, the US are reportedly considering the possible transfer of its Turkish airbase of Incirlik to Crete, the Greek newspaper Estia reported in its 28th of October edition. The issue is described as early, but it's already being formally discussed in the US Senate. Singapore Air Force CH-47 Chinook helicopter crews qualified for takeoff and land on Australia's largest vessels landing helicopter docks, HMAS Adelaide L01 and HMAS Canberra L02. The Singaporean CH-47 crews, permanently based at Oki in Queensland, spent 2 days flying from Townsville to HMAS Adelaide at sea to undertake the deck landing qualifications. This included communicating with the warship's flight control room and being guided by Australian sailors on the flight deck. Australian Minister of Defence Linda Reynolds said that Singapore maintains an ongoing number of CH-47 at Oki. These are the same aircraft that came to Australia's aid during the 2020 bushfire emergency, underscoring the utility of being able to operate with Singapore in a crisis. We will always be grateful for Singapore's assistance during our time of need, she said. Defence and Aerospace has placed a purchase order with BAE Systems Australia for an initial batch of passive radio frequency sensors for the Joint Strike Missile that is based on the well-proven and modern technology of the Naval Strike Missile. In 2016, Kongsberg announced that the Australian Department of Defence and the Norwegian Ministry of Defence would cooperate on the further development of the Joint Strike Missile developed by Kongsberg. The cooperation entails close cooperation between Kongsberg and several Australian defence industry partners, including BAE Systems Australia and Kinetic Australia, to develop new, innovative technology. The new technology ensures even more advanced capacities added to the missile, including a second independent sensor within the missile to identify hostile radar targets. The new capacities will be highly relevant for both Australia and the other partner nations of the F-35 program. The order is the first full-rate production order of the sensors and is part of the broader cooperation agreement that Kongsberg and BAE Systems Australia have been successfully operating under for the past 5 years.